Hey guys, Anthony the Rad Company, and in today's video, we're proving that a starter motorcycle doesn't have to look like a starter motorcycle. Let's jump into it. Welcome to another detailing transformation video right here at the Rad Company YouTube channel, where today we are taking Brandon's Kawasaki 250 street bike and making it look less like a starter bike. Now, what do I mean by a starter bike? Well, the 250 is arguably one of the best starter motorcycles out there. Whether it's the 250 or the 300, these things sell like hotcakes at dealerships everywhere. But here's the thing with starter bikes. Starter bikes get dropped. Starter bikes get washed improperly. Starter bikes just go through a lot of different stuff. And when we first saw this, I thought, gloss black, pretty good looking motorcycle. I'm like, dude, I think we can transform this thing. So Brandon is extremely excited to see this thing looking like the real black beauty that it is. So what we're gonna do today is we're going to do a deep clean on this. We're going to degrease the motorcycle, everything from the chain to the wheels to the exterior of the bike. This thing has never been detailed probably in its lifetime. After the degreasing and the APC, we're gonna go through with some snow foam. We're gonna agitate everything. We're gonna wash the bike. We're gonna get everything cleaned up, and I'm gonna talk about the sensitive areas to avoid. And then after that, we're gonna clay it, and we are going to polish this thing like the gem that it is, and it is going to be absolutely beautiful. And then we're gonna be topping it off with Armour's Phobic spray coating to keep this thing looking good and add some nice hydrophobic properties to the bike. So I love motorcycles, I love detailing motorcycles, and this one is gonna turn out amazing. Let's do this. So a couple different things. Brandon has already started to modify his first motorcycle, and that brings me a lot of happiness. As you can see here, we have a carbon fiber exhaust that he has recently added, a nice low pipe. He got rid of the stock exhaust because, as you can imagine, this 250 has probably been dropped at some point in its life, so the previous exhaust is all scraped up. So he's thrown on this nice shorty carbon fiber exhaust, and I think it looks pretty good and it sounds pretty good as well. But on top of that, Brandon also has changed out his rear brake pads, and so he did that recently. And other than that, this thing's just filthy. It's got a lot of dirt, it's got a lot of grime and all the different nooks and crannies, and I do think that giving this thing a pre-spray is going to get rid of a lot of that. Okay, so jumping into this, we are going to start with Forced First, which is going to be our citrus all-purpose cleaner. Now, when it comes to motorcycle detailing, the biggest thing to point out is always going to be the front end of the bike, because bikers are usually not good about cleaning bug guts off the front of their bikes, especially something that has full fairings. Bug guts are extremely caustic, especially if they're left there to sit there with time, and they will eventually etch the paint, right? And you don't want that to happen. And so whenever I've done motorcycle detailing in the past, it's usually the first thing I address. One thing that you can do to take off really stubborn bug guts is either an APC and spray things down, or you can actually take some towels, microfiber towels, dunk them in like a hot bucket of soap and water, or a warmish bucket of soap and water, and lay the microfiber towels onto the front of the motorcycles or the fairings to actually soften the bug guts up, loosen them, and make them really easy to remove. But we are going to be using the Ultra Clay Scrubber to help with that as well. So what I typically like to do is start with spraying the front end of the bike, and then I'll start spraying everything on the lowers, as that's going to be the most collective place for all the dirt. And so, unlike a car, the difference between wheels on a motorcycle is that these are not going to have a lot of brake dust buildup like you would on a car, mainly for the fact that the rotor is on the outside of the wheel, right? So on the inside of the wheel, you're going to have that rotor kicking up all that excess brake dust. It's going to collect on the inside of the barrel, on some of the outside of the face of the wheel. This will never have that amount of buildup, so having a dedicated wheel cleaner is usually not something I have in my arsenal for motorcycle cleaning, but you can absolutely do that as well. Now, coming back here, the swing arm. This is going to be an area where a lot of dirt is going to collect, specifically on the chain side of things. And so with a chain that you're greasing, it's going to not only fling grease, but it's also going to actively collect dirt. And that's just part of motorcycle riding. So typically back here on the rear of the swing arm, behind the shock, you're gonna have a lot of gravel, you're gonna have some grit, you're gonna have a lot of grime, and we'll also have it on the other side of the swing arm. And so that's where I typically like to focus my APCs. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is start spraying everything down. I will start with the wheels and the tires, get that back in there, Now, what I'm going to avoid spraying is anything that's going to be sensitive, any exposed wiring, any looms that are maybe kind of shredded or whatever it is. Again, I'm kind of referring to that as a starter motorcycle thing. But other areas I'm going to avoid is anything on top of the bike. I don't mess with anything electrical, and you'll see when I actually start pressure washing the bike, I'm going to avoid everything up there just because it's unnecessary. It's all stuff I can just get with a wash mitt or some detail spray and a towel. I'm mostly going to be focused on spraying off the lower areas. In a modern day motorcycle, everything is sealed. It is okay to spray things, so just keep that in mind. Some people get kind of nervous with it being a bike. They're not really sure, but trust me, I've pressure washed tons of motorcycles. I've never had an issue as long as I've been smart about where I spray. Another thing to note is that if the bike has a fork seal leak, you're typically going to see that oil be leaking from the fork seal. So these are going to be a right side up fork, not an inverted fork. So any seal leakage would be up here at the top and be leaking downward, whereas on an inverted fork setup, you're going to see that the leak is going to come down here closer to the brake caliper, and that could even get onto the wheel. So we're going to go ahead and spray that, spray the front of the bike. And this is going to help, again, melt any bug guts. Now, when it comes to the chain and the rear sprocket here, and even the front sprocket, whenever you're using an APC or even like a dedicated chain degreaser, one thing you have to keep in mind is that you have to re-grease that chain. You have to re-lube that chain. Otherwise, you're going to have issues with the O-rings, and you are going to dramatically reduce the life of that chain. So just keep that in mind. So I'm obviously going to be spraying forced, but we do have a chain loop here that we're going to be topping things off with. So spray everything down. Spray it liberally. You're not going to hurt anything. Just know that you have to re-grease it, and that's on you as a detailer if you're choosing to detail bikes. Now, up here near the front sprocket is another area too that I'll typically spray a degreaser. Some people want to take this off actually and then spray that front sprocket. You can do that, but I just find that that runoff usually will take care of a lot of that. So spray that down, get that in the nooks and crannies here. Typically, there's not going to have a whole lot of electrical components back here, and we are safe to do this. All right, last but not least here, rear fender. So underneath the seat here, you're going to get a lot of crap that's going to stick to that. Could be road grime, could be road paint, it could be a little bit of everything, but this is where that tire is going to fling everything up into. So I like to spray this pretty liberally underneath here, back behind the tail tidy, on the undersides here, and then let that melt away as well. And that's already doing like an incredible amount of work. So perfect. Looking good and smelling a little powerful. All right, so we've let force sit on there for, I don't know, it's been a minute or two. You don't really want to let it dry, but I'd probably do this out of direct sunlight. I would do this in a shaded area. So force has started to melt everything off, so now it's time to rinse. So we're going to be rinsing all the stuff off. But again, back to what I was saying about the sensitive areas. I'm never going to be pressure washing anywhere up here near the clamshells or the switches or near the cluster. It's just not worth it, right? I don't want to force water in anything that I don't need water to be into. So I'm going to spray pretty much everything from this midsection and lower than that. As far as the seat goes, you are going to have some electrical components underneath the seat. Some people might have their registration or their titles under there as well. I'm not going to go crazy around there. You can take the seats off and pressure wash those on their own if you want to, but I think everything has been removed, so we are good to go. But it's a motorcycle. It's a modern motorcycle. They're meant to be able to be ridden in the rain. It's not going to hurt them to get wet. You just don't want to force water in any type of unprotected area. All right, so with the bike rinsed, now is a good time to do some of the brush work. So this is going to include cleaning of the wheels, the forks, cleaning of the nooks and crannies, maybe the swing arm, getting back behind where the shock is, and just agitating everything there. So I have a separate bucket with soap and water in there. I'm going to use the Ultra TRC brush here along with some more forced and just start doing some cleaning. And then after that, we'll begin to snow foam the bike. So now that we've rinsed the bike, this is typically where most bikers will stop their wash. They've degreased the bike, they've rinsed it, and then they'll go right off into the sunset with all that water just dripping all over them. Well, here's where we're gonna do things different. We're actually gonna go through it with a contact wash. We're gonna snow foam the bike No, you don't typically need to snow foam a motorcycle, but it's gonna look cool on video, so we're gonna do it anyways. And then from there, we're gonna take our wash mitt here, go through, agitate all of the paintwork. Let me re-emphasize, do not use the brush on all of the paintwork. So I see way too many bikers go to a spray and pay and they'll grab the brush, you know, the brush, and they go and just grind that thing into their beautiful bike and will absolutely destroy the paint. And I'm guessing this bike has seen that brush multiple times in its life. So we're not doing that. We're gonna use an ultra soft microfiber wash mitt here in our wash bucket, and this is what we're going to be using to agitate the paint. So after we do that, we are going to re-rinse it, grab our favorite clay lubricant, and then go through the ultra clay scrubber and clay the paint, and then that's going to prepare us for the next polishing step. So so far so good, but we still have a lot of work ahead. So at the end there, you saw that I was blow drying the bike with an Ego blower. Now I cannot emphasize enough on how important that is when it comes to motorcycle detailing, mainly for the fact that when you're spraying a motorcycle down with water, a lot of that water is going to go into all sorts of different nooks and crannies. It's going to go up into the engine and rest in certain areas. And when you go to start the bike up, right, a lot of that water may not evaporate, and you go to start it up and it starts burning it in. And if you're using some type of hard water or water straight out of a hose or out of a tap, you have hard water and it's going to leave water spots behind in all sorts of pleasant areas. So you don't want that. Also, blow drying is going to be helpful for up here near the clamshells. So let's just say you do get some water here, you do get some exposure, or up near the gauges. Blow drying everything out is going to eliminate all that and just going to make your life a heck of a lot easier. So at this point in time, the bike is just kind of damp because it has no protection. There's literally not an ounce of wax or sealant or anything on this paintwork at all whatsoever, and it does feel squeaky, but kind of rough at the same time. This thing is thirsty. It needs moisture. It needs something. So we're gonna go through with our Ultra Clay Scrubber and grab one of our favorite clay lubricants and just go through and start claying all of the paintwork. And then from there, we're gonna begin polishing. But I think this already looks like 60% better, and we haven't even taken a polisher to it yet. So it's just gonna get better from here. Let's do it. So now we've reached the fun step. This is gonna be the transformation step where this thing's gonna look a whole heck of a lot different. So we're gonna be going through and polishing the bike. I have my Rupes 3-inch right here, my HLR. And for this, I'm probably gonna be using the Last Cut compound along with a Rupes blue coarse wool, and then finishing it out with the final polish and a yellow foam here. And I think that this is going to give us the look that we're going for. I did remove the rear seat. I think the main seat, you have to take off the side panels to remove everything, and I still don't have to deal with that. So this has turned out about how I expected. A bike that's never been corrected. I kind of had a feeling it was going to have a pretty good before and after, and it totally did. So this bike actually has a lot of metallic in it. Who would have thought, right? Typically, you just don't know that on 250s because 250s are getting scrubbed the wrong way their entire life, and they're getting dropped. So you never even get to find out how nice that the paint actually looks, because usually off the showroom, I mean, shoot, people are buying them and pretty much dropping them immediately. So in this case, this bike has turned out pretty awesome though. So taking the scan grip here, just a quick little test spot right here, and it just looks so good. Now, because it's black, it's probably not going to stay that way forever, but if we teach Brandon from customer service the proper wash techniques, then this thing should continue to look good, hopefully for the rest of the time that he owns it. So we're going to go ahead and continue on with that same process, right? That blue wool, Last Cut compound, following up with the yellow foam pad and the final polish. Go through on the entire bike, just being mindful not to hit all of the textured plastics. And then after we've polished everything, that's when we'll be able to jump into coating and then also restoring some of these plastics as well. All right, guys, so we are halfway through this detail, and it's not looking good. I just got compound all over myself. Sucks. Here's the deal. If we don't get a thumbs up, if you don't hit that thumbs up button below and give us a like on this video, we're gonna lose the shop. So we just finished up with the polishing step, and I'm pretty stoked with how this thing turned out. A lot glossier, a lot more depth to the paint. You can see the metallic in it, which is amazing. So at this point in time, what we need to do is go through and just remove any of the residue from polishing. So any of the oils or just kind of excess stuff that we may have touched here on the seat or on some of this trim work. So we're gonna go through and kind of give it a little paint prep bath. I'm just gonna go through with the Armour Detail Supply Panel Prep. spray everything down. We're gonna wipe it up. And then after that, we're gonna be adding our Phobic spray coating from Armour Detail Supply to this Kawi 250. Now, how this is gonna work, I'm going to go through the spray, and my assistant Gabe here is gonna be helping me wipe the coating off. There he is. Pretty simple product to use. So we're just gonna go ahead and spray it on. Then Gabe is going to take the towel. We are going to apply it to the area. Then we're gonna take a secondary towel and then knock it down. The second wipe will usually wait just, another 20 seconds or so. You can also use an applicator if you wanna use an applicator. It's a spray coating though, so simply spray it on, wipe it off, and a little goes a long way. And so just this bottle here is gonna do 20 Kawasaki 250s. What I'm looking for here is once you spread it, you're actually gonna see very similar to applying a coating and then seeing your lines there. So we're gonna kind of give it a little bit of a flash time here, and then once it sets up, we're gonna knock it down. We're gonna have some nice, a really nice feel with the Pro Leafs.
Oh, sheesh. Oh my gosh.
Oh, sheesh?
Oh, sheesh.
Do you like it?
It's slick.
So we'll knock out this side over here. So for this, plastics, we're gonna do spam, spam. Now we do recommend doing this in a ventilated area. We do have a fan, an exhaust fan running right now. So we're gonna go ahead and apply this. So PSS Plastar from Coach Chemi. It's great on plastic trim, it's great on rubber, it's great on all sorts of black plastics, but it even works pretty well on even faded powder coat finishes that you're just looking for something just to give them a little bit more depth. This also works pretty well on that as well. And just kind of wipe this in, get into all the nooks and crannies here with this applicator. You could also brush this in if you wanted to brush this in. It works really, really well, but we don't really need to overdo it. We just need to get everything covered. And this is just kind of gonna moisturize some of this as well, but I'm not gonna put it on the foot pegs or anything like that. I'm gonna probably call it good there. A little bit here on the face of the engine cover, around here where the dipstick is. And yeah, that's looking good. I like that. I think that's helping quite a bit. And then even here on the swing arm, again, don't get on the tires. We're just going here on the swing arm, getting that on there. And this is just going to just add a little something to it because it's just so faded. I think this thing has, do you say 22,000 miles on it, right? So it's definitely been ridden. Just gonna get that on there like that. Up top here around this new fancy exhaust, carbon fiber. And get that on there. Sweet. Again, not on the foot pegs. Oh yeah, dude. And then if you do get PSS on paintwork or a coating, don't fret, you can just simply wipe it right off. Much better. So here we are. Bike is pretty much done. All we have left to do is to lube the chain. But we have Brandon here from customer service, who I think is extremely excited to see his black beauty and ride off into the sunset and pull some dank 12 o'clockers down State Street. Brandon, you ready to turn around?
I'm ready.
You excited? All right, turn around. What do you think?
That's a night and day difference. I think it looks a lot better.
We didn't transform it into a leader bike, I'm sorry. I know you probably were thinking this was gonna be like, we were gonna swap the engine and everything, but we only did this in like an hour. So, it's set realistic expectations. But look at the paint.
Oh yeah, I mean the looks will compete with a leader bike. That's what we're going for. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? It may not be as fast as a leader bike, but hey, just because it's a 250, right, doesn't mean it doesn't have to be clean, right? And I think you may have the cleanest 250 this side of the Northwest.
I would agree.
So, we're gonna swap the taillight here eventually, right? That's what you wanna do. But you have your brand new carbon fiber exhaust, right? Yep. Sounds awesome, actually.
It does.
We'll have to get a sound clip in here because it actually does sound pretty good. So now all you have to do from here is maintain it, right? So now you have to maintain it. So what I recommend, obviously you work here and you have access to premium microfiber towels and premium detailing products. Rinseless washing is gonna be your best friend. Ideally, you don't want to have to polish all the time or do anything on a bike all the time. You just want to make sure that it's coated, it's protected, and it's easy to clean. And so rinseless wash with RRW, Absolute, Hero, you can use O&R, whatever you want to use, but that's going to be the easiest way to do it. And I think from there, dude, just top it off with your favorite detail spray and or spray sealant or something of that sort. But this Phobic coating on here, honestly, dude, you should be getting well over 2 years plus, especially on a street bike, something like this that you're not washing all the time. And so it should have some pretty good hydrophobic behavior and just be easier to clean.
Perfect. Yeah.
Nice, man. Well, enjoy it. Let's start this bad boy up.
Pretty good for a 250.
As always, if you guys enjoyed the detailing content here at the Rag Company YouTube channel, want to see more of it, please make sure to give us a big thumbs up. Hit that like button down below. Subscribe down below as well while you're there. Leave us a comment. Tell us what your first motorcycle was, or if maybe you want to ride a 250 someday. Either way, as always, thanks for watching. Have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.